welcome to tonight's episode of Beyond Focus TV. I'm Lydia Patel, and as always, I have a very special guest for you, Vertina Brown, advocate for gun violence. She'll be with us for the next 30 minutes, so stay with us. You're watching Beyond Focus TV.
Beyond Focus TV allows you to discuss contemporary topics affecting the Caribbean people on both a national and local level. The show features informed guests who offer insight, debate, and evaluate various issues. Beyond Focus TV builds on the station's mission to provide useful information to the Caribbean people in New York and abroad. Beyond Focus TV, where our viewing audience can get educated, informed, and empowered.
Welcome back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. I'm Lydia Patel. And like I said, I have a very special guest for you, Vertina Brown. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Well, it's great to have you. You know, you're doing great work in the community. Gun violence is such a big thing. It's always been.
Yes, it's very important to get it out there. There's not too many people doing this type of work. It's said to be kind of dangerous to be an advocate for for victims of gun violence. But I do enjoy the work to help families.
Absolutely. So before we even go into what you've been doing, let's kind of introduce you to the audience. So who is Vertina Brown? Give me some background before all the backstory. Let's do the backstory.
Well, I'm 46. I'm from Brooklyn, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. One daughter, Tiara. A mother. I don't know. It's right now I'm just an advocate for victims of gun violence right now. Mm-hmm. That's what I enjoy doing. I'm a writer. I like to sing. I like to write books, poetry. Mm-hmm. Those are my big things.
Your big things. So in your other life, before, when you were raising your daughter and all that stuff, how was Tiara?
Tiara was a very energetic child. Growing up, she was into a lot of different things. It was kind of shocking that she would grow up to have so many friends, because as a child, Tiara was so shy and timid. But she blossomed into a beautiful flower. Mm-hmm. She was multi-talented, kind of a scholar, she was really into a lot of different things. She had multiple jobs. Mm-hmm. She did modeling part-time. She also did hair braiding. She had a job at my brother's flower shop. She also worked as security for St. John University.
So she did a multitude of things.
Yes. As well as spend time with her friends, her family. She had a godson, a goddaughter. She lived a very active life. She traveled the world. She traveled abroad for school. She'd been to many different countries. She loved traveling like me. She always did. Very active life. Yes.
Absolutely. So then, the program that you're working on now, mm-hmm. It's in memory of your daughter.
Yes.
So how does that even make you feel? We'll give everyone at home all the details of what happened and how it and everything, but in terms of the gun violence itself and starting that program, when there's already so many different programs, how did you decide to really formulate yours?
Well, for me, it wasn't really a choice. I wanted to do something. During the trial, it didn't end the way it was supposed to end. We all assumed this guy would get charged, and the verdict would come in as murder one, and he would be behind bars forever. Mm-hmm. Every mother who loses a child to gun violence, of course, would expect this.
Yeah.
That did not happen at the trial. They gave him homicide, negligence, mm-hmm. As a verdict, and that was the wrong verdict.
Which means he spent how much time?
basically like 1 to 4 years for that. But being that he did a number of different things that night, a number of different crimes, they totaled it all out to 17 years. 17 years. It's not a very long time when you consider that a lot of criminals get out on good behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So you can imagine hearing this verdict was basically a slap to the face. We all just felt like we lost it all over again. You know, it was very painful trial to endure it all.
How long was that trial period?
Oh my God, it was so long. It was years actually. With everything going on, it was at least 2 years. 2 years.
And everything took place right here in Brooklyn.
Everything took place here in Brooklyn. Yes. She was murdered at the Jure Festival in 2016, and they I don't know. The system is very slow when it comes down to these things.
Mm-hmm.
But the trial took place last year, and it was over by May, and that's when they sentenced him in May of last year.
And 17 years, like you said, is nothing compared to you have forever lost.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
is done.
Yes, and he's a pretty young guy. He was 20 years old when he killed my daughter. So imagine 17 years of good behavior. He could still get out at a pretty young age and be able to have a life,
Yeah.
children, get married maybe,
Yeah.
And it just seems unfair, to lose her this way and to think that this guy literally got a slap on the hand.
What do you think needs to be done, not just from the gun reform side, but in terms of the laws for things like that? So obviously with the Brooklyn DA,
Mm-hmm. He did a great job. Yeah. But I really think they need harsher punishments. I know a lot of people. I'm gonna get a lot of heat over this. I really believe they need harsher punishment for killers. Harsher punishment. I know that he was looking at 25 to life, but he got nowhere near that,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't due to the judge. It was due to the jury. The jury could not comprehend the charges that were being read in front of them, the meaning of the charges that were being read in front of them. They couldn't distinguish the differences between the charges.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a major problem here in New York. When I went to my senator to write up this bill, to see if I could get this bill passed for Tiara, it was like, okay, let us do the research, and come to find out, and here in New York is one of the slowest states, and it's kind of shocking, because New York is kind of like the biggest city in America. It's kind of shocking that they are so behind in gun laws and things of that matter.
Well, hold that thought, because
Yes.
we'll take a quick break. We'll be
Okay.
right back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. I'm Lydia Patel. So, Vertina, you were saying, gun violence, New York, we're kind of slow on that.
Yes.
And you wouldn't think that, but then the amount of violence that happens, I think it's just even processing it.
Yes.
I was surprised, and I'm glad to a certain degree, of course, that they at least identify it. Do you
Right.
know how many shootings happen in Brooklyn, and they have no clue.
Mm.
So at least there's a little bit of closure. You could identify that there's something, but when there's it's just unknown.
Right.
I think that hurts even more because you just don't know. The killer literally could be out there still, and you have no clue.
Right. Well, I was very fortunate that this killer got caught. I mean, he didn't even get picked up for the murder. He got picked up because he was driving around in a car that had 3 wheels on it. He was damaging other cars driving them. That was one of the other charges, and that's how he got picked up. But then he was still under the influence, because when they picked him up, they said that he was drunk, and he was in the jail cell, asking for a cigarette, and he was pacing the floor, and he just blurted it out, saying, "I think I killed the girl at that festival. Oh my God, I can't believe this." And that's what happened. And a lot of it just took place kind of rapidly after that. The charges just started building up. So I was pretty lucky in that aspect, but a lot of mothers are out there that have not gotten the justice for their loved ones. Gun violence is really out of control right now. It's like, okay.
Especially since COVID, you saw that it has just escalated exponentially.
Yes.
It's continuously growing. I live in East Flatbush.
Uh-huh.
And you see it. This summer was one of the hottest, and not in terms of temperature, hottest summers we've had in terms of gun violence.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. I don't know. I kind of blame the pandemic. I mean, it shouldn't be funny, really, but it's kind of like, because we were in quarantine, so everybody was locked up inside the house. They got a little antsy and decided, okay, once the lockdown was over, they came out and so much gun violence happened. Oh my God, it's really overwhelming to think about all of the shootings. It's like they was making up for all of the time that they spent in quarantine.
But then also the other factor, because of the pandemic, is that people were left without jobs. People were, I don't want to say destitute, but pretty close.
Yes. You can imagine the
desperate times people do desperate things. Yeah. Not justifying it at all.
Right.
Not justifying it.
Right.
But the violence between domestic violence, couples, you're trapped in the home with the abuser.
That's another thing too that a lot of people don't know about. All of the domestic violence that's going on,
Child abuse is happening.
Child abuse that's going to be a big thing later. They're going to be talking about that later on, about how, because of the quarantine and the lockdown, the pandemic, a lot of parents had to become teachers, and that is not their job title, So they had to become teachers to their children, to their own children, and being home with your child, and let's say your child, it may not be as good as my daughter was. My daughter was almost perfect, just about perfect. She was such a sweet child. I didn't have those problems with her, but a lot of parents have like very active children that are kind of bad or suffering from mental illnesses. And who are hyperactive, you know what I mean? So that could kind of trigger your anger inside, and things happen, unfortunately, and the children are suffering. Yes.
And it's a lot. So tell us now about your program. What progress have you done in honor of your daughter?
Well, the very first thing I did was I went to the city and I demanded change. I demanded change because this was unacceptable. I really didn't know about Juve. I really did not until 1 year before was when I knew about Juve. My daughter went to Juve the year before, and she was there to witness what was going on, and she didn't like it. So I really didn't know too much about Juve. I had to learn about Juve and the culture behind it. But what I did learn was the long history of gun violence that happens at this festival. It's a pre-Labor Day celebration, Caribbean celebration, and every year there's someone dying, someone getting shot, stabbings, all kinds of violence. It's like the bad kids who are doing the killings, the shootings, the gang life. They come to the festival like it's a purge. It's a day to run around and purge, to do whatever violence they deem, happiness. Unfortunately for them, they have this mentality that this is the way of life for them. It's really a sad thing to see this history, and now to be a part of it. So one day I said, okay, we got to change this. Too many people dying at this festival. I need to change it. And so I talked to my mayor office, and I did a PSA. That was one of the first things I did. For the mayor's office, I did a PSA. I also worked with a lot of government officials along with the mayor's office to change all of the rules with Juve and make it safer.
So were you instrumental in it?
Yes.
Starting at 6 a.m. now?
Before 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Yes. We had to change this way, to make things safer. At first I wanted to shut it down. I wanted to petition to shut it down. That was my first reaction because of all of the killings. I wanted to shut it down. I mean, I was grieving, And
Absolutely.
I started to think about what Tiara would want. Tiara was such a vibrant person and so full of life. She's half Haitian and wanted to celebrate that culture as well as all other cultures of West Indian, Caribbean, whatever. And that's why she went to Juve.
Well, hold that thought. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. I'm Lydia Patel. So Vertina, a lot of movement, and you've made some changes because Juve has changed, and I've participated many times in Juve throughout my life. My family is West Indian from Trinidad, where Juve originated. So it's kind of sad to see, as someone who travels to Trinidad every year and participates in the original, because everything here in New York is just a replica of what happens there. There is violence over there, but it's not anywhere near the violence here. And I have friends and family who come up, they want to see the Brooklyn Juve, and they're like, it's disappointing to see that you took something, the real cultural relevance, and you turn it into gunplay. Because that's not what, it's really, you're celebrating slavery, being free. There is a historical significance. We're mocking our slave masters when you dress up in the mud and the paint. There is a whole significance behind this.
It's a beautiful culture.
And it's not meant to be abused like that.
Yes, yes.
But it happens, unfortunately.
Yes, yes it does.
I'm still happy that we can come to a happy medium where we can still have it, even though it has to be start at daybreak, because before you used to start in the middle of the night, and they were like,
we used to start at around 2 a.m.
2, 3. Now that you have to be daybreak and be wrapped up by 9 a.m. because the regular parade's going to be starting at 10.
Right. See, the reason that is because that was one of the things that I requested. I requested it that it start during the
light, daylight.
The daylight. Because in the blanket of darkness at night, 2 a.m., it's dark outside, so all of the violence is occurring. So I think to myself, okay, maybe if it's daylight, they won't be out there doing the shootings.
It'll be less, because it definitely has not.
Yeah, because the police will be able to see, they'll be able to see everything that's going on, and.
So
It'll be a lot better.
your work still continues.
Yes.
What do you have planned for continuing to get these policies in, and how has that work really been going for you?
Well, it's a slow process. It's a very slow process. Getting a bill passed through Congress takes a lot of, there's a lot of time, and we're in a pandemic, so a lot of things were closed. But it's, you know, getting the bill written up was also something that took a long process too, because of doing the research and everything. You want to be correct when you type up this bill, and that's where Tiara Polio Act S8722, I think it is, came into effect, and now that's my goal right now, is to help push this bill to get it passed so that it can help other families in terms of, like, I mean, it's not going to stop the gun violence, by all means. It's not going to stop the gun violence, but it will give families peace and closure, like, because it's hard. Like I said, it was a slap in the face to hear that verdict, and it was because the jury did not understand. So now the bill is going to break it down in layman's terms to where people will understand the meaning of murder one, manslaughter, and criminal negligence homicide. They would get a better understanding of the differences so that they could choose the right one. I mean, you have doctors who come to trial and they start talking about how this murder happened, and you just in awe hearing, the coroner talking about the guy has to be literally in her face to pull a trigger to hit her where it hit her. And a lot of people don't know that, but when he got up there to say what happened, he said, he was bent down on the floor and it just came out, he pulled it out of the bag and it just went off by accident, and that's impossible. So the jury did not remember the part about what the
real medical
doctors,
details
yes,
of how this could have happened.
Because that part was said and done literally like the year before. Mind you, this is a long process.
Yeah, they're not going to remember everything.
They're not going to remember everything. And they asked for the charges to be read back to them at least 6 times. The judge was so pissed off and everybody was upset. You can just imagine. But they just had a hard time distinguishing it, and they chose the wrong thing, and this guy just got off.
Right. So how can everyone at home get in contact with you if there's anybody who wants to maybe hear more about your story, get more information on the programs that you're working on in terms of gun violence? How do they do that?
Well, I am a part of the group Moms Demand Action. So I will be doing a lot of events with them, helping to get bills passed through Congress and things of that nature. We're always doing events, but right now, because of the pandemic, it's hard. So a lot of things have come to a halt. But I'm going to continue to keep pushing this bill, the Tiara Polio Act. You can reach me through social media as Poet Tang, or by email, poettang1030@gmail.com.
Perfect. What final words do you have for the viewers at home who are just curious about your daughter?
Know that Tiara was a loving person. She was full of life. She loved everybody. People looked up to her. She was an advisor to a lot of people at such a young age. I know everybody's stuck on the age thing. They're like, oh, okay, at least she lived, to see 22. She had a lot more life to live. And just because she was 22 when she was shot down, that doesn't mean that it was her time. It was not her time. And to think that it's okay to go out there and to use a festival as a blanket of cover for gun violence is not the answer, and it's not acceptable. You guys need to find better things to do with your time. Try to be more inspiring to the younger generation that's looking up to you, who's following you. Set an example for them. Don't go out there and take another life, because you're not just taking that life away. You're taking the life away from the parents of that person and your parents as well, because now your parents have to watch you from a jail cell doing 25 to life or maybe more. Don't do it. It's not worth it. It's not worth losing all these lives over.
Thank you so much. It's been so inspiring, and we love to hear updates from you as you have them, okay? Perfect. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, you can send us an email at info@beyondfocusmedia.com. I'm your host, Lydia Patel. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be back again next week. Same time, same place. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. Stay with us.
Beyond Focus TV show wants and needs your feedback. Did we blunder? Please let us know so we can improve. Was the show helpful to you? Drop us a note so we can share the success with our staff members. Is there something you think we could do better? We welcome new ideas and new approaches to old ideas. Do you have a great suggestion? Let us know and we'll work on it. If you would like to share your comments anonymously, please send us an email at info@beyondfocusmedia.com. If you want to get in touch with the executive producer directly, send him an email at gene@beyondfocusmedia.com. We really look forward to hearing from you.